Welcome to Binge Theory, the coolest corner on the internet. I am Julian, and with me today we have Logan.
Hello.
And we have Eric.
Hello.
And this is the second episode of Mandalorian Season 2. We're going to do this entire series week by week. We hope you enjoy it. We love this series so much that we decided just to dedicate an entire episodic review of it. Gentlemen, let me dive in first. We're going to do basically a little description of what we liked, the pros and the cons and all that stuff. And then later on, we will give you a warning when we start to talk about spoiler events. So buckle up because we're going into Mandalorian discussion. This one is Chapter 10, and it's titled The Passenger. And I'll just tell you right off the bat, I liked it. And as Logan said in last week's episode, there were a lot of culminations of other episodes, and they kind of just bring them back in different orders and different characters. But I also saw some new things, not new in the sense of I've never seen it before, but new in the sense of this series. There were some items that they brought up, without, this is not totally spoilery, but it's just some of the creatures they had. I'd seen that entire thing before, and I really dug how they did that. And Logan, I think we were talking earlier, and you had said that this, I want to get your thoughts on that because you made an observation in regards to, I guess, where this would fit in the overall story arc of this season. I'll let you take it away, sir.
I mean, it was again. There hasn't been an episode in this series that hasn't been well done. So at the very least, you're looking at 40 to 50 minutes of enjoyable time watching the show. But I think my concern with episode 2 of season 2 is that it felt tremendously like a filler episode, and I don't know why an 8-episode season needs a filler episode. If you've got 22, 26 episodes, sure, you can throw some fillers in there. Okay, great. But you're not reintroducing any characters. You don't need to really go through and, show the history of a planet that you need to spend time on. Like, I'm a little kind of confused about why this episode was so important enough to kind of include in the season. Because I guess I'm just trying to figure out why. I didn't see any major, character developments or changes or anything that would make me go like, oh, okay, we're showing this kind of a thing. I don't see it. So while it was enjoyable, and I'm slightly horrified by the ease with which they showed the child eating a sentient being's children, that troubled me after the episode. But yeah, I guess I don't quite get how or why it fits in the whole grand scheme yet.
Yeah, if I could just dovetail on that, you're right. This did seem to be and maybe I'm missing the grand scheme of things, what the Force is willing, if you will. I didn't see how it was impactful to the overall story. Don't get me wrong, it does address the MacGuffin aspect of it, kind of, but the entire episodic thing of it was just, here's some stuff that happened. Mm-hmm. And we can go into details and the spoiler. Eric, what did you think of this one, ranking in the episodes we've all seen so far?
Yeah, I do kind of agree with you guys. I did feel like it was a bit of a spoiler episode, or not a spoiler episode, but a filler episode. Excuse me.
Well, it's appetite.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked. I liked the action. There was a fair amount of action in it. but no, there wasn't really a lot of character development. We got to see, the child do a little bit more of the things that he does. But no, nothing really overly amazing. So yeah, it wasn't my favorite episode.
To your point and Logan's point about let's just say the baby's eating habits. Remember back when I forget the chapters, so forgive me, Star Wars fans. The one where they went to fight the ATST and
I think, but yeah,
and Baby Yoda was eating the frogs, and all the little village kids were like, ooh, and the baby hesitated. So I thought they were going to do a turn where like Baby Yoda doesn't just eat anything that's not, strapped down. But they kind of just forgot about that and went right back to Baby Yoda just likes to eat. And that was the thing. I will say though, Baby Yoda aside, one of the things that I did love, because I want to, do a general, praise and just observation of this. This had some amazing effects in the flights, and we could talk about who he was flying kind of against, but they had a great aeronautics kind of a feel to it, and just the background, and I loved especially for a series. I mean, I know effects are becoming better and better each year with software development and things like that, and what Logan was telling us about last week, where they were just using this ridiculous amount of digital technology for screen background, things like that. I love it. And this had probably been, short of a actual Star Wars movie, some of the best visuals in the air in regards to dogfighting that I had ever seen. And I just want to give props that for a series, I thought it was phenomenal. Just the banking and the background and the air maneuvers, I just thought was really, really on a new level that I think a lot of other sci-fi shows will be trying to live up to. But then the let's just say the creatures were a little 10 years ago for my taste. And you know what, guys, let me go ahead and give me anything else you got, because I'm kind of itching to go into spoilers and get some details that I found interesting and or distracting in this episode. So, Eric, did you have any other things that you, in general, that you liked or disliked about this episode? Or
I hate to just keep saying I agree with what you guys are saying, but no, the flight, how realistic that his ship looked next to the clouds and the way it moved. I mean, that was just fantastic, So yeah, they're really knocking it out of the park with the effects when they use them, And I'm a big fan of that. When you need to use effects, make them good, and if you don't need them, don't use them at all.
It's good balance.
Yeah. I don't know. That's. I don't really have anything else to add.
No, that's a good overview of it. And Logan, what your thoughts, generally?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's movie quality effects. There's no question there, and to see that on a weekly TV show is awesome. I think the only other thing that I found interesting in the particular episode was when the frog-like creature hacked the robot so she could communicate, and she seemed to be the one who reminded him that you're a Mandalorian. Why are you just kind of, sitting here going to sleep while it's, cold and everybody's dying? Like, you made a promise, keep your promise. So
now we're going into kind of just spoilers. Let's.
No, that's still just what she said in the show.
Oh, no. I mean, this episode.
This episode. Yeah.
But I just, we might as well just go into, the discussion of, the actual scenes. If that's cool. Is everybody ready? I mean, I'm sorry, proceed. didn't know if we wanted to be vague, but I did like that scene, and I like where you're going. I just wanted to warn people that these are a description of scenes. So
yes, now we're getting into I guess the nitty gritty details of the show.
Yes, the details. So right now you are seeing a spoiler logo popping up on the screen. It's probably right there. You see that? So spoiler warning. Maybe I'll add a klaxon, sound effect too.
There you go. We'll figure out what the Death Star's red alert is.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great.
But yeah. I'm sorry, proceed, Logan.
No, that's fine. But yeah, I think I was just, and it wasn't anything more than that, but I was just intrigued that it seemed like they were trying to portray some sort of him maybe, forgetting his I don't know, his creed, his promises, his, unshakable kind of, this is just, the way or how it is, however you want to put it. And it just seemed almost at a place for her to have to remind him of that. To go so far out of the way, and I don't know. I wonder if that has anything, potentially ripple effects of either what's to come or things in the future.
I would say that I found it a little, and again, I agree. This entire episode didn't really have any impact that I saw. It was, filler. There was not a lot of ground covered, literally, and. The fact, and again, just for some context, he had to take a in what I call gecko woman, to a location to find other Mandalorians. She apparently speaks a language he doesn't speak, so she hotwires a killbot to translate for her. That seemed a roundabout way to have a communication when he could have just spoke the language to begin with. I mean, he speaks Jawa. He speaks Jawa and Sand Tuscan. So why even go through that whole process of hot wiring a machine and having her again, remind him of his oath. He knows his oath. We all know his oath. He's been doing it the entire thing, and again, because the hull was breached, and literally, I don't know. Rocket science. So I don't know how you can just, weld together a ship after it crashes through the ice and looks like it's totally demolished and just take off. But I guess that's Star Wars engineering. It's built to last. And she's like, "Come on, get us out of here." And he's like, "Lady, I just crashed my ship.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?" And but yeah, the fact that she said, "Well, you're not trying. You're supposed to be Mandalorian." And from what I know about you Mandalorians, I was like, don't gecko explain to me. I know my own creed. But and to your point, Logan, about the Baby Yoda just throwing back eggs like M&Ms. I'm just like, what?
That is horrifying. Those are sentient living creatures that he's just eating. Like.
And I was a little thrown that she didn't realize that these, her bloodline was slowly just keep count of them. Because remember, she had like what looked to be about like 10 or 12 eggs in there, and they're just slowly disappearing. And she's not like freaking out, like, "Hey, I had 18 kids in here."
You would think she would have a count, right?
Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
And he's just going in there like they're deviled eggs and just, throwing them back. And I'm just like,
oh,
yeah.
I mean, I'm wondering, too, if that's actually going to be a thing, too, where it may be with, yes, he's, I don't know, protecting the child, but he's not really caring for the child. So, is that going to be something that comes up later in the season where, he's not fully providing. So, somebody else who has more malicious intent, but, actually feeds him and gives him water to drink, he wants to go with them because he's getting fed. And is it a whole parenting type thing? Like, I have no idea, but it seems obviously being highlighted for some reason.
Well, maybe Gina Carano will, when she shows up, she'll be, and again, that's completely sexist thing to say, she'll be the mother. But I'm just saying, because she had an affinity for Yoda, and I know Carl Weathers isn't going to be a good caretaker. So because
You
with
could teach him to box.
exactly. Yeah, you just stay away from the Russians and yeah. But the most motherly one was the
Mechanic.
The mechanic, exactly, played by Amy Sedaris. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I like her taking care of him, and nothing like some dragon barbecue. Wasn't that something?
Yeah.
And tell me this, because I swear that cantina looked like the one in Los Eisley, the Los Eisley spaceport. I mean, they had like the robot. Most Eisley. Thank you.
Most.
Yeah. Most Eisley. I'm thinking.
We're gonna get some comments. So yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm thinking of Los Angeles. Yes, most Eisley. Exactly. But didn't it look like that? I mean, even the little where she was sitting playing cards, that looked very similar to where Han Solo and Guido were, and also the bartender bot looked very familiar. But I'm not sure if I'm just conflating that with some of the other bots I've seen. But that place looked very.
It did look very familiar. Yeah.
It's possible that mandible creature was somewhere in the original Star Wars. I don't know.
I don't
look really familiar.
You know what looked familiar was the eyes, because I know in episode 4 they did have one of those. It almost looked like kind of a V head shape alien with kind of those chrysalis eyes. That looked familiar, but the whole ant body. Yeah. Again, I'll look it up online and see if I can find some comparisons. But
let me just go back to Baby Yoda just a little bit, or the child. So I watched these episodes with my fiance, and she has a very different experience with the child. She is it for her. It's all about the Baby Yoda show. Featuring Mandalorian, right? Yeah. And so she's got all these things that she thinks about. She's like, oh, well, surely the Mandalorian's changing Baby Yoda's diapers, and I love how he takes care of Baby Yoda, and he should put goggles on Baby Yoda when he's on the speeder, and wow. Oh my gosh, he's so cute, she just eats it up like it is going out of style,
Mm-hmm. I'm sure marketing didn't see that coming.
Very different experience for her watching these episodes. I find Yoda very cute, but I thought that these wild eating habits, I feel like they bring Yoda back to where he should be, which is not human, and he is a wild little creature, and he, just like a little puppy will stick their nose anywhere and they'll eat anything. Baby Yoda will do the same,
But to be fair, isn't this Yoda like 40 years old?
50.
Yes, sure.
I mean, he's like Benjamin Button. That's a baby, old man baby. But that is interesting. I mean, culturally, you're right. I mean, it's a different species. Obviously sentient though, and more strong. So it is interesting how they interact, and again, we'll just call them humanoid values.
Mm-hmm.
Or Homo sapien values, I guess is a better way to put it, may not translate to other beings. Yeah, because to them, an egg is an egg. Finders keepers. It's not. They're not. It's not a moral question. It's just it's protein. But
right.
Again, I could actually see where that could be unsettling to people. It's because it is a very obvious thing. Now, I want to put this out there, and Logan, tell me if I'm off base on this. Okay. She was taking the eggs to her husband on the estuary moon of Task.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Trask. See, Trask. Look at that. Look at that. I wrote all this stuff down. So perhaps those eggs, just like you get at the supermarket, had not yet been fertilized, because I think she might have been taking them to him.
Right. And I think that's fair, yeah.
Yes, so these could be just grade A eggs, a dozen, and Baby Yoda was just, getting some omelets. But again, I'll listen back to it because I think that's what she'd said, that she was taking it to her husband to get, but who knows? Yeah,
no, that's accurate.
Yeah. I want to go back to the flight choreography. And first of all, calling back to Empire Strikes Back in Cloud City, I got those kind of feels when the two X-wings pull up to him and they're basically, doing some, give us your ID, and he's like, oh, yeah, I think that's broken. Yeah. I don't have that. I'm pre-imperial, so yeah, I don't have any of that. Oh, we'll wait. And then when he just drops out of the sky to evade, and then they're like, we got a runner. And just that, the banking and like you're saying, Eric, the hiding behind cloud hiding and stuff like that, peekaboo cloud fighting. And I thought that was some of the best choreographed dog fighting, for lack of a better term, that was going through those clouds. And the scene where he goes through the ice tunnel and just, slides across the ice. I thought that was very cool. All up until he falls into the spider pit. Yeah. Let's talk about these spiders. Because first of all, when you see the little pods and you see Baby Yoda going in there trying to get, he's always hungry apparently. Of course, Alien pops into mind because that's. Totally. I was like, oh, he's going to get a face hugger, and and it looked almost exactly like a face hugger, tentacles and all, but he just eats it. Like, again, if it's smaller, if it fits in his mouth, he's going to eat it. So I think, again, that's his moral line is, can I eat this or not? And also, the amphibian mommy found a nice heated spring, which is very cool. And she just got au natural and just threw her eggs in there and said, yeah, we're just going to chill out for a while.
It's a safe choice.
Yeah, exactly. On this planet where you don't know what anything is. But, again, we're very lucky that all these planets just happen to have oxygen. Again, but I'm going to skip all the science. But what's funny is when the spiders started coming out and then coming at them, reminded me of the reboot of Lost in Space movie with William Hurt. And they had like all those little biomechanic spiders that were just coming in swarms. And it is kind of, terrifying to just have spiders upon spiders rushing you. And
and I think one of the reasons that was shot so scarily and worked so well was the director for this episode, I believe, was Peyton Reed.
What's he done?
Ant-Man.
Well, then there's the ant.
Exactly.
Dr. What's-his-face, yeah, because
you've got all that kind of the familiarity that he has, kind of, shooting those, lots of quick little creatures and the angles and just how, well that was done. That was definitely, I would say, Peyton Reed.
Interesting. Yeah. But then that's a little too on the nose with that big gambling ant. Because that reminds me of the ant that was playing drums in Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yep.
So, all right, that checks out then. Yep.
Although those ice spider designs, if you will, they're old Star Wars designs. I want to say Ralph McQuarrie designed them back for some of the original series work that he did, but never ended up using them. And Dave Filoni, who works obviously on this one, but also did the Clone Wars and Rebels. These spiders show up in Star Wars Rebels a number of times. Specifically episodes where I want to say it's Ezra and Sabina Wren are kind of, just, I don't know what they're doing or looking for. It's been a while since I've watched Rebels. But again, with the frequency with which it seems that Dave Filoni is now using creatures and characters from his animated series and crossing them over into live action, it's really, really cool to see.
Interesting. Again, here's the sad thing. I've never seen Rebels. I saw little parts of Clone Wars, but I guess now, now that it's all on Disney, I'll probably start checking it out bit by bit. Since I've re-upped my subscription just for Mandalorian, I'll start seeing, getting my money's worth. But Interesting. So yeah, that again, I like that because that does make a lot of sense in regards to that spider.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't crazy, like I was saying earlier, about the effects. It looked a little really CG. Well, obviously it's CG, but yeah, because in such a practical effects set, and it seemed a little jarring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was what it was. I did like when the mother, the gecko mom, or the gecko lady, she's running and she's not making much progress, so she just goes all fours, goes back to the natural position, and she's just leapfrogging it. And I thought that was funny. And I also liked when they were just about to take off because he did some repairs. It's like, ooh, let's get out of here, and they just slowly start getting up, and you're like, they're gonna make it, and boom, the big mother spider comes and just suplexes them, and then they're stuck back. And again, totally destroying the ship.
Oh yeah,
that ship's not going anywhere ever again.
You wouldn't think so.
No, but I guess you get a welding torch, and you can just fix it. But anything else, like Eric? Anything else jump out at you that you liked in this one, like effects or storylines or character development?
In this particular scene, or
just in this episode.
Okay, so there are a couple things I wanted to just touch on. One, the flight skills of the Mandalorian. I wasn't buying that. I don't know. I'm just thinking about the age of this individual and the amount of physical training that he's gone through, and then he's got these flight skills that he can outmatch like an X-wing, he
was outmaneuvering two X-wing fighters in
I'm without light speed too, so I did not buy that. While I appreciated the imagery, I would have liked for him to be a little bit more clunky and maybe run into one of them, or just, I don't know. So that, I definitely wanted to put that out there, because that was something that dawned on me when I was watching the episode. And then the other part that I found curious was the moment when they had Mandalorian and Baby Yoda held up at gunpoint, basically.
Yes, the ambush. The ambush. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really well done. With the whole rope and that deal. And I especially like to see that one creature, which I believe was a Jawa, without the full hood. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Logan, because I could totally be off base, but I felt like that was a Jawa without the front covering that little creature.
It had like the metal face. I've seen other aliens like that though.
Really?
I think that's just a case of reusing convenient costuming.
Okay.
I don't think it's an actual Jawa without that. I think it's just reusing costume pieces in different creatures.
Okay. All right. Cool.
And I don't know if Jawas roll like that, where they basically start taking hostages and stuff. I mean, aren't they just barters?
Good point.
I could be wrong. I don't want to generalize.
Well, I mean, I always felt like those red eyes were part of a mask. When I don't know. Growing up, I always felt like that was some kind of mechanism that they had used, and it would put out those red eyes. But underneath it all, you'd take off the blanket, and then the metal, the robotic kind of mask would come off, and who knows or what's underneath there. So anyway,
no, I can see that too, because
Star Wars mystery.
Yeah, no, they well, Logan, do they have any specs on Jawa, like, what's under that hood, or have they ever revealed that? Because no, I hear you 100%, Eric. And to that point, that like we said in last week's episode, that is a harsh place to live. So I would imagine that respirators and some sort of a mask to protect you from the environment is pretty standard. So yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. Those are the things that I kind of had on my radar, and then I'll just put out a saying that I don't know if we picked it up on the internet or whatever, but it's protect, snack, attack, nap, and that's what Baby Yoda does.
Yeah. Baby Yoda. I mean, and again, Baby Yoda. They do. No, don't forget, during the ambush, Baby Yoda did take a tumble, and I know that's just for like us to feel the drama of the moment.
Yeah,
but he was fine. I mean, Baby Yoda. Remember, everybody was ready to kill. What's his name? Because the two actors that played the stormtroopers back in the first season that were just basically literally punching the bag with Baby Yoda in it. The internet went crazy. They were trying to get. I think it was Andy Sudeikis and the other and some other actor, but they were like character actors that people know, and they were getting like threats on Twitter and stuff for literally hitting a puppet. And
wasn't it Simon Pegg that was like a stormtrooper in some of
Simon Pegg was the this would be in The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
he was on Jakku. He was actually the trader, I believe, who Rey would sell the scrap to in order to get her blow up food bread bowls or whatever.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure that's who Simon Pegg was.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah, I've seen some behind the scenes footage. But Eric, you're close. Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper in. You tell me which one, Logan, because the names in the last trilogy I can't remember. I don't
remember which one.
It was the he was a stormtrooper. That's all I know is that Daniel Craig was, because everybody just wanted to be in it.
Yeah.
That's. But again, same thing with this episodic breakdown of Mandalorian. I mean, like I said last week, John Leguizamo was in it, and this one. And then John Leguizamo and Timothy Olyphant. So a lot of actors just probably grew up with Star Wars, so it's just the honor of being in the universe, as well as some of their careers kind of, like I said, never really popped. So
why not? And this one too, if you remember from first season when they had the raid on that prison facility where they broke out the people and the X-Wings that came in after that. I don't know if both of them were the same, but I know the one X-Wing pilot who went by the name Trapper Wolf is actually Dave Filoni, who is one of the executive producers of the show.
Have I seen Dave Filoni? Because that name sounds
You've seen him before in that other episode. He was an X-Wing pilot who was coming into the prison facility or whatever after Mando was leaving.
All right, I gotta go rewatch it.
But yeah, he was in this one again as an X-Wing pilot again, and again another, little nod to everything that he was. He was literally blasting characters that he had brought over from animation to real life, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, well, again, I think everybody's trying to do those winks and nods because even what was it? What was the last one in the cinematic series?
Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, then it wasn't that one. It was
Last
the one. These names kill me. I think it was The Last Jedi. Yes, where Mark Hamill stood in front of the who directed that? The Last Jedi.
Yeah, Rian Johnson.
Rian Johnson. Okay, in the scene where they were, dug in the trenches on that salt planet. Rian Johnson was the guy that literally is in the trenches, and he picks up some of the salt. Salt. That was his contribution to the film.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. It was, he did a cameo in his own film, which is, very M. Night Shyamalan,
Right.
Alfred Hitchcock-esque.
More common than not.
Yeah, exactly. It was just funny because it was such a meaningless scene. But I guess also that was some interesting exposition because you didn't know if it was snow or ice or something.
Mm-hmm.
So he literally had to put it in his mouth. Say, "Oh, this is salt." Just so you know at home, because it's white, it's salt. And
now we know.
Yeah, but I did actually like. You know what? Also, that ambush scene reminded me of the Book of Eli with Denzel Washington. You know, kind of a wasteland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever see that, Logan?
I have not seen that one.
Pretty. I mean.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It had Gary Oldman in it, and I love him. But again, it was a post-apocalyptic. So.
I mean, you knew the other party was completely outmatched before. You know, there's no question. It was that he was going to get his rocket pack back. It was just how soon was that going to happen? I did like that because he's like, yeah, take it, and then he he drones it, and he's like, yeah, all right, and he landed it very, specifically. But when I see him flying, he doesn't seem to be flying that well. But right. Yeah, it was good. I appreciated that scene. I like, again, how they take, and I don't think cliche is the best term, but standard conflicts that you find in all kinds of wanderer, Western, loner, man against the environment, because there's always somebody's always trying to lay siege to you. So somebody's always either trying to cheat you or attack you or take what's yours. So it's always just you against the world. So I appreciate that they go through all of those scenarios where, yeah, of course, marauders are going to try and ambush you and just take what you have. And how do you deal with that? If you're, a badass, you kick their butts, and then, let me put it this way: I didn't see anything I haven't seen before, but it's still entertaining. And I think there's a connection there too, in my mind, with the Rocket Pack and the Rocketeer. Rocketeer he's a character that's kind of based back in the 30s and the 40s in that pulp time period, and I'd be curious to see if George Lucas ever made mention of that kind of thing when he was designing Boba Fett, or if Lucas was even in charge of designing Boba Fett. I don't know.
I'm sure he signed off on it, though.
Yeah, but I feel like when I watch the Mandalorian flying around like that, especially with that helmet, and being a big Rocketeer fan and Jennifer Connelly fan, that there's definitely a connection there.
I didn't even make that. You're right. With the helmet on, and yeah, he does look a lot like the Rocketeer. Interesting. Yeah. But to that point, because Lucas was so influenced by, obviously, like we did back in the day, the Kurosawa films, and the loner, and something, not to totally go back on our episode, but you mentioned something, Logan, in when we were reviewing the first episode of season 2 of The Mandalorian, where when he was walking into town, the people came to the forefront. They didn't lurk back in the shadows. Right. And I was thinking when you said that, that's exactly what happened in Yojimbo when he came into town, and everybody. But again, that's been translated over to Western cliche. Whenever you come into a town, everybody's just looking at you, and either they come out to greet you, or they shut the shutters and they leer at you, like this is somebody who's going to help us, or this is somebody I'm not too sure about. But and darn it, what was my point? I'm sure I had a brilliant point. It just escapes me.
No, I think you're just connecting the Mandalorian kind of to pulpy subject matter, things that Lucas may have been inspired by.
100% right. Yes, he was inspired by, obviously, the Westerns and Flash Gordon, and a lot of those, a lot of those had jetpacks, and the world of tomorrow type of a feel. So no, I can see directly where that might have influenced him for the design of Boba Fett. We may have to look into that. I mean, since we're doing this in depth on Mandalorian, start to get a little more bona fides on the designing of the Mandalorian armor and who did that and the whole mythology of it. I mean, if we're going to be true sci-fi nerds, right now I'm just dabbling in the nerddom, but I might as well go all in.
Okay, so I have a question for Logan.
Okay.
I have a question for you in regards to Boba Fett around the Return of the Jedi time period. My question is, when he went into the Sarlacc pit, do you feel like the Empire was still kind of after him as an individual, like a wanted man?
Do I think the Empire was after Boba Fett himself?
Were they ever after? He was working with the Empire, wasn't he?
Well, I mean, they were the mercenaries are always playing where the money is, right? I mean, the bounty hunters they were not always going to be under the Empire's wing.
Yeah, they were like contractors. Yeah, they just but in Empire they hired Boba Fett.
Okay, right.
He was one of the group that they hired.
Right.
Okay, so do you feel like, I mean, so he was not being hunted by the Empire?
I don't feel that he was at that time, no.
Okay.
But at the same time, I feel like he's, much like the Mercenary Guild is now, and it was shown in season 1 of The Mandalorian, they're up for hire. Yeah. Look, they're not your typical, typical criminals.
Right.
They have rules. They have chips. They have medallions of who they have to go after for what. I feel like they're being portrayed to be at home, whether they're getting paid by the Republic or the New Republic or the Empire or whoever. I feel like they're almost more of a business entity than they are anything like that. So no, I would say his at the end of Return of the Jedi, he was doing his work and that was the cost of doing work. So no, I don't think he was being pursued or otherwise targeted by the Empire.
Yeah, and I don't ever thought and maybe I missed it, but I don't remember him being targeted by the Empire in that respect. I think it was like kind of a merging of objective where he was already trying to get Han Solo to take back to Jabba, and Han Solo was with Luke, and Vader wanted Luke, so it was kind of like just a parallel objective. And I remember that Darth Vader was saying to Boba Fett, test out the carbonite on Han, and then you can have your prize. And then once we know that it works, we'll use it to get Luke. So I think their objectives were aligned, but I never thought they were adversaries.
Because what I'm trying to see is if it might be a situation where Boba Fett is trying to fake his own death, basically. Right.
Okay.
So we know that he went into the Sarlacc pit. There's no doubt about that, right? But maybe
it's an insurance
somehow. He's like, I'm not going to tell anybody that I got out.
It's an insurance scam. I get it.
Yeah, that's why I was asking that question, because I'm not sure if he had somebody after him or whatever, and he wanted to just fake his own death. That's another hypothesis I have.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see him, but I could see him either faking his own death or kind of the like Obi-Wan did. I mean, Obi-Wan did go there to watch after Luke, kind of, but he also did kind of a self-imposed exile. Is that like a thing where you kind of fail and you just say, "Oh, I'm gonna just sequester myself to a rock"? Or I mean, Luke did that too, and so did Yoda. So but they are Jedi. I'm not trying to conflate the two, but maybe when he had that comical episode where his jetpack threw him into the Sarlacc pit, he's like, I'm just hanging it up.
I mean, it would be an expensive cost to lose his armor and his, helmet and everything he was just to fake his own death to live. I feel like he I don't know, maybe he was that self-serving enough, but if there was anybody after him, the only possible thing that I can think of might be the rest of the Hutts, if for some reason they felt he contributed to Jabba's downfall and they cared enough to exact any sort of revenge or anything for that. We saw a little bit more of the way the Hutt cartel kind of works and operates definitely in Clone Wars. I don't remember if they were in Rebels or not. And it's, as dysfunctional a family as ever, so it's kind of no fun peeking behind that curtain.
Right.
But I feel like that could be the only thing, whereas, this bounty hunter that the Empire gave us, didn't work out or couldn't do anything or betrayed him or whatever, and if he lives, he's targeted, that sort of a thing. But that's the only thing I could imagine right now.
Okay.
And to that point, I mean, he is obviously in business with a lot of unsavory characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be the Hutts. It could be probably anybody across the galaxy that wants him dead. Right. Yeah, I mean, but you know what? I think that will be revealed. I'm making a prediction that will be revealed in this season.
And let's remember, right, because he's not a Mandalorian.
Right.
So he would be taking his helmet off and putting it on and off and on, and so people could know who he is, right? So if he faked his own death, then
he's like Batman.
He would just go into exile or something like that.
Yeah, sure.
And hopefully nobody would recognize him. Anyway,
the one interesting thing I will say about that, if you go to that IMDb page, it doesn't say Boba Fett anymore.
What? Don't do that to me. Really? They took it off?
Oh, wow. This is juicy.
They probably watched our episode and realized they messed up. And
I mean, it's very possible. They wanted their options open.
Yeah.
Because, again, there are a lot of characters. If we're pulling from Clone Wars and Rebels that Tamir Morrison voiced and played, there are lots and lots of clones that have their own incredible personalities and storylines and baggage that they come with that they could, should still be living and existing in this time period that they could want to pull in. So,
and I don't doubt it, but I'm sticking to my guns, and I'm saying that based on just the storytelling, I don't think they're being that complex.
I think you're probably right, because I think, what would be better than throwing a first season of a Boba Fett series in between Mando 2 and 3?
Well, yeah, I mean, they almost greenlit a Boba Fett movie, right? So there's people want to know more about Boba Fett.
Absolutely.
So...
And that could be the backdoor entrance to the rest of the characters, too, because once you have Boba Fett, his story, knowing that he was the root and the base for all of those clones, and the way that those clones made different choices because of their different experiences and everything along the way, may set up Tamir Morrison playing not only Boba Fett in his own series, but 3 or 4 different clones in this one. Or who knows? I mean...
Yeah, right, yeah.
They could do like a multiplicity and just have,
completely.
Yeah, clone on clone on. And I did when I did see the Clone Wars, I forget which episode it was, but they were kind of like, they stepped away from the whole empire and they were just living on like a desolate planet, kind of like that. And they had their own characters, and they did like a final stand against the empire. I do remember that. So it's interesting. They could go anywhere with that entire storyline, which is one of the great things about this being a non Skywalker storyline is it can go anywhere. And yeah, I'd love to see something like that. But again, I've been a big fan of Tamir Morrison. That's his name, right?
Yes.
For those who don't know his history, the first time I ever saw him in a film, it was back in the day. He came out with a film called Once We Were Warriors, a very indie budget New Zealand film, and he played a character called Jake the Muss that was just phenomenal. And I definitely recommend to go see it. It's called Once We Were Warriors. And yeah, that's my first introduction to him. And then I think I hadn't seen him for a while, but he's also Aquaman's father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jason Momoa. So
Yep.
there you go. He's still
And for those family oriented of you, he's Chief Tui in Moana. So there you go.
Did not know that.
Yes.
But I'm glad Disney's doing ethnic casting and trying to make sure that the cast members are reflected behind the microphones as well. That is good. I'm glad he's working because just phenomenal actor. Mm-hmm. And I can't say enough good things about that film. So it's probably one of my top 20 films of all time. Once Real Warriors. But let's see. We touched on the great effects, the eating of pickled eggs, the space spiders, the ability to completely fix a spaceship that has fallen and crashed multiple times with the blowtorch, and then fly it into space. Apparently, but yeah. All that aside,
yeah.
Okay, guys, what are your last thoughts on this? Again, we gone over kind of like the broad strokes, but any last thoughts on this? Because we got to keep these short if we're going to be doing one every week and making them entertaining and quick.
I got nothing else really about the episode itself. I mean, I think it was again. I'll reserve, I guess, final judgment for the end of the season when I see if there was actually anything of value that contributed to the storyline here, or if it was just filler or what. But as far as the actual, kind of a show, that was it. The one thing that I did catch actually in the credits at the end, which I didn't realize, and I haven't looked into this. I don't know if this was a new thing or not, but the costume designer credit was listed as Shauna Tripsick, who did a lot of the costumes for Dollhouse and Buffy and a lot of the Joss Whedon type stuff. And I didn't remember her having done this before. And I need to go back and look and see if I just missed it for the last 9 episodes or if this was the first one. But always liked her stuff, and she's just an absolutely wonderful person. Had the good fortune to actually meet her a couple times, actually on the Fox lot while they were shooting Dollhouse, which was really, really cool. Yeah, just a fun little, just a familiarity for me of somebody else who's working on it.
Interesting. Now, and again, I do like the. It's funny you should say that. I do like the wardrobe. I've been, with every episode, I'm studying more and more of the Mandalorian's outfit, not just the armor, but the underpadding and the scarf he has and how it obscures even his. You don't see like any skin. Which I find really interesting. And I want to see. I'll have to go back and look and see if any of the Mandalorians show any skin, because even like when Timothy Oliphant had the costume on, he had like fingers exposed and stuff like that. But I'm curious to see if that's part of their creed, with it you don't show any identifying marks, at all. So that's interesting. I'll look into that. Eric, good sir, your thoughts?
I noticed some kind of emblem or logo or something on one of his shoulder pads. I don't know if you noticed.
The Mudhorn.
The Mudhorn.
There. What is it?
That was the symbol of the Mudhorn that the Mandalorian armorer or metal worker created and put on his new armor. Kind of as his own little call sign of sorts, because that was, what essentially cemented his, I guess, bond with the child and need to kind of continue through that way.
And yeah, to dovetail on that, I do remember the Mudhorn episode, and I think up until that point, he was looking for, because one of the things I guess identifies a Mandalorian is their insignia. Like it's almost, you have to go through a rite of passage and you get a badge.
Yep.
For lack of a better term. And he spoke to remember the metalsmith, the one that gave him his armor? Yeah.
The one who had the horns on her helmet, kind of like Darth Maul, which is a whole different entertaining topic and reason why I'm excited that we might see Darth Maul in the future, but I digress.
Are we talking about Spider Legs Darth Maul?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very good question. But no, I don't think so. I think we're still talking mechanical lower half Darth Maul, but I don't think we're talking Spider Legs crazy Darth Maul.
Yeah, because those are like trash legs, if I recall. Didn't he make them literally out of trash?
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, again, the Force is strong. I don't know how it keeps you from living without a lower GI, but that's fine. But to that point about the Iron Worker, she said to the Mando that you need to, because he was describing his relationship with Baby Yoda, and she said, he told her about when he came across the Mudhorn and had this vicious battle, and Baby Yoda saved him. And she says, "You two are bonded. That's your insignia. You're the Mudhorn guy." So she made his armor and put that insignia on it to, again, like a tattoo, if you will, just showing that was who he was. He was the Mudhorn insignia guy. So,
and that's why she gave him the mission to reunite the child with the Jedi or its people.
Yeah, that's like a apparent. I mean, again, I like the religious act, and again, I don't want to say religious, but it's definitely a creed that has a lot of religious kind of spiritual journey aspects to it. Like I go back to like Indigenous Americans, where you would go on a vision quest and, for lack of a better term, find your spirit animal or something like that, where you would embrace some sort of a symbol or moment, and that defines you or brands you on your journey. And so I kind of think they kind of took that to heart. But yeah, that's the Mudhorn symbol. So good eye though. That is like his only insignia, because I guess that's the only thing that means anything to him. So, and again, I love that armor. I mean, because that's like that high end, that's that baller armor, because he gets shot in it repeatedly, and it's completely, like, for lack of a better, laser resistant, which is if you're out there getting shot all the time, it's a pretty good tool to have, I guess.
Yeah.
When it works that well.
It looks really impressive. I mean, if it's not made out of stainless steel, I'd be surprised. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is.
So for me overall, I would say with the episode, this was not one of my favorite episodes. I appreciated the action. I liked a lot of the details that they put into the episode. The special effects, they are on another level. And some of the details that I really liked about it was, the fact that, we can't go at light speed because we've got these eggs, and then the other detail that I found interesting was the Gecko lady using a computer to communicate. I found that interesting. For me, that was interesting. Let's see. Yeah, that was. I think those are the main details that I found interesting in the script, but it wasn't the most amazing episode, so I was a little bit let down.
And also, I want to speak to two things. The Gecko lady, and again, don't get me wrong, I found that interesting, but because this episode was shorter, I don't think that they're. It reminds me of and this is going way back, Enemy Mine.
Oh, yes.
With Louis Gossett Jr.
Yes.
and Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid, yes.
Dennis Quaid.
And they had a kind of a barrier, a communication barrier. And they were together so long, they were stranded together on this planet, and they learned each other's language. So that was impactful because it meant something. You were developing together. The fact that they didn't speak, and all of a sudden it was interesting, but I just didn't see any real point to it. It didn't make any sense. It was cool to know that she was capable to hotwire a droid, but it it seemed like again a scenic route to get to the fact that they're communicating, and then
it was way too quick and easy. Yeah,
and they weren't together long enough for their lack of communication to have been that much of a factor. So, but again, it was interesting. And secondly, I forgot his helmet. He does have like all these features in the visor that they're beginning to reveal themselves. For example, the heat vision when he was tracking her,
tracking the footsteps.
Tracking footsteps, which I found interesting. And I do remember in the season 2, episode 1, where Timothy Oliphant put on Boba Fett's helmet, and I forgot to mention this. The scope comes down, so he can use the rocket on his jetpack to take out that ship or whatever.
Yeah, the mining cartel.
The mining cartel. Thank you. That visor coming down looked so reminiscent of Luke Skywalker putting on the targeting visor, when he was going after the Death Star. Just that whole, lock on. It was an interesting thing because I never knew what that did on Boba Fett's helmet, but because nobody really thinks about a helmet having all this tech in it, except for when Predator came out, and Predator had like all this heat vision, different prisms of light you can see, stuff like that, echolocation, blah blah blah. So it's interesting to see a lot. They're slowly revealing a lot of the tools that he has. I mean, his Stinger missiles, the heat vision in his helmet. Because you see lights and stuff going off. I'm like, what's all this do? It's because I remember when his first armor was compromised, it had circuitry underneath it. So there's probably just a lot of things that they're going to be revealing in regards to the functionality of his armor in general. So I did dig that. I agree with you, again, like we did in the beginning of this. I thought it was Much Ado About Nothing, well shot, a lot of great effects, but the story didn't really mean anything to me. And again, I want to be, I'll be clear on this. I enjoy watching these, but because they're like these 30, 40, 60-minute episodes where you need to have everything wrapped up by the time it's done, you don't really get the quality of storytelling that you would in something with a little more drama. And again,
a little too episodic, yeah.
It's very A-teamy to go back in the 80s, where you're in a situation, here's your objective, and then you just go in, but everything's wrapped up. And that's the thing, is because everything needs to get wrapped up, you have to do shortcuts through some really interesting points that could be dragged out. So, but again, it's better than I was expecting. So I'm happy with what they're putting out there, and again, looking forward to episode 3. So anyway, it looks like we may be losing Eric. No, there he is.
All right,
he's back. Well, gentlemen, another great episode. Love hearing your thoughts and getting some insight. Logan giving us some behind the scenes information in regards to costume design, and Eric, knowing the Mudhorn story. So, yeah, no, exactly. We're sharing, we're learning, we're growing, and I think we all agree that Baby Yoda, it just has no moral boundaries when it comes to consumption. So,
he will eat anything.
And he does. Yeah, spiders, frogs, eggs, and raw too. He's kind of like, is that the paleo? I don't know, but he's doing his own thing. Anyway,
can it be dead though? Like, does it have to be live?
Well, no, he was drooling at that dragon steak. So I think he's just like
food.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's. I'm trying to think of. Oh, and geez, this is horrible that I even know this. In Teen Titans, there is a worm, Silky, that would eat anything, and yeah, it's the kids' Teen Titans, not the cooler, teenager Teen Titans. But Yes, that's the thing that makes me think of it, just like this little cute thing that consumes anything in its path. But anyway, people out there, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We will be back for episode 3 to discuss, all of the Mandalorian lore. Hopefully they have a great storyline with a little less, fetal eating and stuff like that. We'll see what happens. Again, great effects, so storytelling, but good reveals. All in all, I would think so. There's some stuff going on out there in the real world, but we don't talk about that here because this is a place where we can escape what's going on. Let's just say there's some interesting developments going on in society. So turn on the news and you can see what's happening out there. But this is a place where we can enjoy Star Wars and The Mandalorian and other movies. So we appreciate you coming here to enjoy this time with us. We will see you next time. Be sure to take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and remember, if it's worthwhile, it's worth binging.